Hello, everybody. This is Walking Out Wednesdays with Coach T, and of course, that is me, right? And here's where I try to give you some words to live by so that as we are all walking out this journey called life, we're getting better at that walk, okay? So, I am super excited to be back with you all. Happy 2024 Journey Walkers. Happy 2024. We have made it to another year, right? So this year, I am intently purposing to share more of my heart with you all. I feel like too many times content builders, writers speak their storytelling without actually sharing the truth of how they connect to it, how it resonates with them, and how it affects them, what they've learned from it. And generally, it's for fear of judgment. I mean, we're running around talking about we're the experts. But we're the experts because we've experienced it. And I think that is a huge call out. So for me, this year is a year of Jubilee, which represents liberation. So I am free to tell my story from a place of victory and not victimology. Because every time I share with confidence rather than shame or judgment or fear of judgment, I heal. Because sharing actually dulls the pain. And eventually the pain subsides. And then eventually it disappears. And so my hope is that I take you with me on this journey of healing, believing that not only am I walking out this journey called life with you, but I am walking out the journey of healing in your life, our life together. So, the month of March is officially Women's Month, right? That being said, for the entire month of March, Walk It Out Wednesdays will be dedicated to the emotional health of women, okay? So I'm going to be kicking it off tonight with managing your emotions. And yes, I am a day late, but I am not a dollar short, okay? And I'm wanting to address emotions and managing your emotions because I believe that emotions are huge for women. I mean, it's what drives us. It's so big for us in terms of how we approach the world. And if we don't learn to manage it, we're going to be in a world of trouble. We can sometimes find ourselves in a world of trouble. But what is emotion? The psychological definition says emotions are conscious mental reactions subjectively experienced as strong feelings, usually directed toward a specific object and typically accompanied by physiological and behavioral changes in the body, which means we don't just feel them emotionally, we can also feel them physically in our body, okay? The study of emotions is called affective science. I did not know this. This is new to me. However, those who study it create emotion theory. And according to their research, they identify 8 primary emotions: anger, fear, sadness, disgust, surprise, anticipation, trust, and joy. So feeling either one of these emotions can actually be a good or bad thing depending on the situation. And I'll show you some of the ways and examples and how in a minute, but I got to tie this thing into love because this is where I feel like we as women get tripped up the most because we are generally so open to it, largely because we require more of it than men do. And not that men don't need love. I'm not never saying that. So don't get your panties in a bunch. That's not what Coach T said. For the record, Coach T is a huge advocate that men should be loved by the women they call partners, or by the women that claim they want to be their partners. What I am saying in terms of women is that we are designed to embrace emotions more intensely than men are, because we have, number one, because it's easier for us to access our emotions. Whereas men, honestly, they have to dig a little bit deeper to get to it. And that's not a dig at men. It's just simply the fact of how they are designed versus how we are designed. And it speaks directly to our differences in the way that we approach relationships and love, right? So, that being said, if you notice, the experts actually don't include love as a primary emotion. I found that to be quite interesting, since that's the one emotion that we are always talking about or always claiming that we feel. It's a secondary emotion. They classify it as a secondary emotion because it usually combines two or more primary emotions. What do I mean by that? Well, better yet, what do they mean by that, right? The consistent presence of primary emotion, of a combination of primary emotions, become the reason that love comes into existence. I'll say that again. The consistent presence of the combination of primary emotions become the reason love comes into existence. Love is either fueled by interest or indifference. Yes, those are two exact opposite words. Okay? Yes, they are. Love is either fueled by interest or indifference. Just want to make sure I say that again. I'm going to use myself as the example here. Generally, if I feel safe in the presence of a person, then I will more than likely desire to spend more time with them, because I know I will enjoy their company. I have now accessed trust because they've provided a sense of safety for me. I've also accessed anticipation because I want to see them so I can feel that safety again, right? And joy, because feeling safe makes me happy. If these such encounters continue, eventually love, fueled by my interest or growing interest, is going to present itself as an emotion that I can readily identify and feel quite deeply, okay? This is the foundation of most typical relationships, no matter what kind it is, right? They're all driven by it. It's definitely the way that women can connect, because we're driven by our emotions first and then tasked with emotional management second. And that applies to, any relationship. Adversely, if said person disappoints me in some way, then my feelings will more than likely be hurt. And as a result, I'm going to get mad. And once I get mad, I'm going straight to protection mode, which means I don't want to be around them, that person, in that moment, and maybe not for a while, okay? Now, love has shifted to being fueled by indifference, meaning my interest is either non-existent or it is fading at whatever speed I want it to, because I'm controlling that at this point. Now I've accessed sadness because my feelings are hurt. I'm probably surprised because I didn't see this coming. I'm definitely disgusted because I'm really disappointed. And I'm only disappointed because I thought better of the person. And now I'm angry. I'm angry because I don't feel safe anymore, which probably circles me back into being sad because I liked that feeling and now it's gone or dwindling. So if you were listening carefully, you realized that this is going to blow your mind. The primary emotions that fueled my love that was based on interest shaped my expectations. And when it is that my expectation wasn't met, it caused my love to shift from interest to indifference. So that tells me that expectation becomes the major key to managing, or a major key to managing your emotions well. So let's talk about expectation. What does that really, really mean? It is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. It's also a belief that someone will or should do something. We tend to develop relationships and set what we call standards that are really crazy off the wall wishes, or that are masked as standards. What do I mean by that? We expect people to show up for us in these sometimes, and I won't say impractical, sometimes the ways that we want them to show up is impractical. Other times the ways that we want them to show up is not necessarily impractical. It's just that I'm expecting me and them, and that's not fair because they're not me. So impractical in the sense that I'm expecting you to do it the way that I would, expecting you to see it the way that I would see it, expecting you to think of it in the same terms that I do, without taking into consideration that the backgrounds are different. We see things through a different lens because we're different people. So we see this type of behavior all the time. Family and friends and personal lives, and it's normal. So we think this type of stuff is normal. We think it's normal. It seems normal to us to do things this way, to act this way, to think of things this way. I listen to women on social media all the time, making whole videos that indicate that they expect men to be some type of savior, their savior, some type of great, valiant knight that is incapable of imperfection, incapable of making a mistake, incapable of failure, incapable of getting it wrong, incapable of error. My question is, how did we decide that these are expectations that actually make sense? Like, who taught us to think this way? What experience taught us to need this level of anything from any one human being on the face of the planet? Like, where did it come from? What's the origin for that? I can only speak for myself and say that I was taught to expect men to be like God in the flesh, okay? To hold him to such a standard that was so high, simply because all the men that the women in my family had ever dealt with failed them in some way, shape, form, or another. But they forgot to consider that these very same men, maybe they failed them because they were never really designed to be all of this. on their own. That's what partnership is for. But as a result, I learned to just survive him, not to partner with him. And even now today, I struggle with the two, remembering to partner with him. It's crazy, but it's the truth. So how do we learn to better manage emotions? How do we do that? How do we learn to better manage emotions that are altered by our expectation? Here's what I am learning. 1, expect imperfection. See people for who they are and determine if that's a connection you want. But don't hold it against them because they're imperfect. Address your past traumas so that you don't set expectations that are based in protection and survival. So before you set an expectation, ask yourself what it's rooted in. If it's rooted in a negative emotion that you haven't healed from, as Iyanla Vanzant would say, go do your work, honey, and then start again. The other thing that I want to admonish you all to do is ask yourself this qualifying question about the person. Does this person currently have, or can they acquire, the capability to meet the expectation? If the answer is no, then it's not fair for you to set that expectation of them. That's one way you can manage your emotions, because if you never set that expectation of them, they can't fail you. You can't be disappointed. Know them for their works, honey. Then when they do whatever it is they do, it won't surprise you. This is just a start. I truly hope that my transparency tonight has helped you. All right, my journey walkers, this has been Walk It Out Wednesday with Coach T. Until next time, I am the Coach T, and remember to always, always just be you.